Everyone, it's LS, and this is going to be another speed VOD review, this time of KTRolster versus TeamLiquid. I'm going to jump right into the pick and ban here. So this was the first game of the second part of the Group C group stage games. KTRolster banning Sion and Tom Kench. TeamLiquid banning Akali, Aurelia, and now Rakan. Seems like we're experiencing a little bit of lag again. I feel like I'm in an airplane, having a little bit of turbulence. Rakan now being banned away as well by TeamLiquid, and Shen, the final ban for KT. So NA keeps doing this thing with first pick Alistar. I do think that he is stronger on blue side than on red side, but I really don't understand the priority on this champion. NA seems extremely fond of it. It sort of reminds me of Korea's like Syndra type stuff. Korea and China's Syndra. So Urgot and Xayah being hovered right now for KT. And I'm assuming that it's going to end up being locked in. And this can potentially induce... oh, no, never mind. So it's going to actually end up being a Kaisa. If they lock in Xayah there, they can end up potentially inducing... oh, no, actually, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. Aatrox now being hovered and locked in. You don't want to go to the second ban phase and then risk Aatrox getting banned away when Urgot is already selected. Been very vocal throughout so many VOD reviews now that I do believe Aatrox to be the superior pick over Urgot. And, oh, I just noticed that that volume was on. So Sivir is picked up for TeamLiquid, and KTRolster now locking in the Gragas. So that can likely be a Gragas jungle. Galio now being banned away by KT. And Talia now being banned away by TeamLiquid. Which is interesting because if Gragas does end up just being a jungle pick, you're wasting bans. I would like to actually just see TeamLiquid pinch the mid lane position. Handshake pinching the mid lane position. And Ornn... What? I guess they're giving TeamLiquid credit to switch the Aatrox into the mid lane, but when you think about Aatrox and Ornn on the same team with the Sivir, you think about you need a very powerful jungler in order to make that work. You're probably going to need something like Xin Zhao, but if you have Xin Zhao and Gragas is already inside of the jungle, things can get very ugly. So KTRolster now hovering. Oh, and they actually end up locking in Nocturne, and that's not a pick that I like at all. Because I think that I think that if Nocturne was maybe the last pick, it would be a little bit more acceptable, especially if KTRolster is just fine putting UCal on Syndra or something, and having him walk into a potential counter matchup and be okay with it. Then you can potentially net yourself a pretty big edge if you can get Nocturne 5th, as long as the enemy team composition is actually susceptible to it. TeamLiquid now lock in LeBlanc. It's really scary anytime that I see a NA LeBlanc. The only player that I think of that's actually scary whenever I've watched their LeBlanc is Bjergsen. I think that every other North American that tries to play this champion does not look good on it. I don't care if they end up winning games, but NA LeBlanc is... I think NA LeBlanc is worse than NA Jace. I just have to be completely honest. Jensen did well on it. I just mean historically, every time I've seen this champion. Also, Jensen's not a very fair comparison. He's like the other best NA mid laner right now. Well, I mean, he's European, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about when I say NA mid laner Twitch chat. Alright, once we get into the game, we're going to talk about what each team is trying to accomplish at each stage of the game. Yeah, Bjergsen's not NA either, but yeah, I'm using Bjergsen and Jensen as examples of people that play in North America, but I clearly mean like North American mid. And he's like been in NALCS now for, I mean, they both have, I guess. Okay, so it looks like we are having a 5-point start from both teams, judging by that pan out. Okay, so let's talk about some stuff. So you have UCal on the Lissandra. Seems like that was the final counter pick. You have massive amounts of engage on the Lissandra, the Gragas, the Nocturne that can definitely reach the back line. And I mean, as long as TeamLiquid actually assesses that they have poke inside of Sivir, they have massive amounts of wave clear inside of Sivir, that can definitely open up a lot of possibilities in the later stages of the game. LeBlanc obviously has the ability to assassinate people, but does have to be careful. Probably means that LeBlanc's going to need to get like Banshee's Veil, and then depending on how the game is going, maybe if she's super far ahead, she can end up getting Quicksilver Sash later on, like 4th or 5th item, because then the only person that can reliably actually hold LeBlanc down would be Alessandra. Mata can potentially hold LeBlanc down with a body slam into an R or something, but that's a little bit more difficult to actually pull off. So in the early stages of the game, LeBlanc is able to try to have a lot of mobility. It's going to depend on the synergy with X-Smithy. Now, Impact up in top lane, this is one of the weird things. Skarner doesn't actually want to devote time to going towards the top half of the map, because if Sivir can just do Sivir things, then Double Lift can just endlessly push into KT. And if that's the case, then you want Skarner playing on the right-hand side of the map. So you want Skarner bouncing basically between mid and bottom, getting the Wraith camps, getting the Golem camps, and then trying to get vision inside of the blue side jungle of KT score. So this actually decentivizes him to be top lane with Impact. So a little bit of lack of jungle top synergy in terms of the picks, at least relative to the team compositions. Score, on the other hand, he has a self-sufficient top laner. The only lane that he actually has to pay attention to is bottom lane. And then UCal should actually be fine on his own. So Score should have the luxury of just being able to do this endlessly. He should just be able to do this until level 6 and then maybe create his first gank down in bottom or in mid lane. And then maybe he ends up getting met by X-Smithy at one of these locations. But it looks to me like he's completely fine to just power farm until 6. His laners are all fine. The only lane that he has to care about is bottom. Get level 6, gank for bottom, get Deft and Mata ahead, open up the turret, and then rotate and put Aatrox behind on tempo against Urgot. And then this directly is also going to hit LeBlanc, because then it means that LeBlanc's transition into the mid game gets stunted by this. So I'm assuming that that is what we're going to be looking to see, but then again, like most games, we don't know how it's going to truly unfold. This is 2x speed, is it not? Yeah, I don't know why 2x speed keeps having issues. Impact wasn't lying. Today was a good day for China and Korea. Alright. So right here, Skarner reading and assessing everything really well. You can see he's just, X-Smithy is actually going for the full clear. Nocturne as well, going for the full clear. And so this is what we should actually expect. If Skarner were to try to make anything happen, it's virtually going to be impossible. It's so difficult to coordinate a gank, again, in that top lane against the Urgot. He's not incentivized to try to path up to top lane. You already know that Nocturne is definitely going to clear his own Wraiths and his own Golems. The only thing that you could try to path up to top for is maybe looking to... What? Okay. Oh, Gragas came and actually warded the Golems. And now this is interesting, because what it does is it tells them that, okay, hey, Skarner actually took the full clear route. And what this does is now you know that Skarner doesn't end up doing this. All right, Skarner didn't do this. All right, now the reason that this is so important is because this ties into a recall. Because if Skarner does this, right, Skarner only has one option, which is to recall in about a minute from now, right? Skarner would, well, a little bit under a minute, or pretty close, right? And then Skarner goes like this, right? Or Skarner goes like this. So these are the only two routes that are available. Here, I'll draw in a different color. All right, so if Skarner doesn't clear the golems, this is Skarner's route in about a minute and a half. All right, so he can either do this or he can do this. All right, so this dramatically changes everything, because now you can see that Nocturne's rubber banded camps on the right-hand side don't come up until about 5 minutes, right? So around the 5-minute mark is when Nocturne comes back into the right-hand side jungle, which means that if Skarner didn't clear his golems and he opted for one of these two routes, Nocturne could have total knowledge to just go in, get the Scuttle Crab here, and now his entire right-hand side jungle is going to be completely fine. He also knows that Skarner is going to handshake most likely the rubber banded camps. So now Skarner's follow-up route is going to be something like this, and maybe checking on this Scuttle Crab depending on RNG, and then maybe attempting to go into Nocturne's wraiths. If this were to have happened, KT would be content with just defensive vision control around mid lane, being fine with a ward on Tribrush or just a ward right here, and then Nocturne can continue to power farm and Xmithy gets really far behind. That is what that ward right here does, by getting that intel on did Skarner clear the golems early or not. Skarner comes up, he gets the Scuttle Crab. Okay. So now you can see Nocturne pathing up into top lane. He goes through the brush, I think just to see maybe if Skarner was there or something, but you can see the pings. Beautiful pings actually by KT. That's most likely Score just alerting his teammates, hey, you know, Skarner could be at any of these locations. And you can see the exact route that's happening right now. And so Skarner, fortunately for him, he does have a little bit of a cleaner route, because now all of his camps, he has basically a direct path back to the left-hand side. The issue for him, well, he does actually RNG out quite well. You see the Scuttle Crab, he's RNGing really fucking well on that. Wow, that takes a lot of skill. What a skilled player he is. That is fantastic. Now look at what Nocturne's doing. Nocturne's coming in, he's trying to, like, don't pay attention to this. Fuck off with this. Alright, here, look. It's not, this is all garbage, alright? Let me show you where the real party is. Alright, real party's down here right now. Alright, watch the minimap. Alright, watch the minimap, follow along. Oh, Jesus, I just deleted everything. Hold on. Alright. So, watch Nocturne. No, what? Don't you dare be starting that fucking Ocean Drake. I'm tilting. He's gonna solo the Ocean. It is pre-10. And he can get away with soloing the Ocean because he knows that Skarner's camps are up on the left-hand side. I'm just not a very big fan of... I'm not a very big fan of getting the Ocean Drake. He does have level 6. He's actually in close proximity to bottom, and you can see that TeamLiquid is actually not respecting it. I don't know why UCal came in. You can see UCal is teleporting in, but there was absolutely no way that TeamLiquid's actually going to be able to avoid this. You can see that double lift, this is really strange. Now, let me talk about why this is so strange. You see the vision control for TeamLiquid, and you haven't seen Nocturne. You know that Nocturne's red is coming up, but you also know Nocturne's opening route. You know that Nocturne's opening route was this. You know that the dragon just went down. You got the notification for it, right? So if you know that Nocturne's rubber banded camps on the right-hand side are up and the dragon just went down, you come into his right-hand side jungle, you do the red, and one of the things that I would have liked to have seen Xmithy do was actually come in from this angle to try to see if Nocturne would come in from the wraiths. In this particular instance, I don't think that it would matter too much. I think that the timing would line up perfectly. But why on earth Doublelift and Ole are playing as far up as they are, despite knowing that Drake just went down and Nocturne is in close proximity to his rubber banded camps, and Xmithy's 6, which means that Nocturne's likely going to be 6? I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I have absolutely no idea what they're doing. Now, UCal did not need to come in. The way that TL sets up vision and executes on objectives and rotates around the map has been clean, even up to Korean standards. I mean, building the same lead versus international teams might be hard, but I think that their macro is good even internationally. Okay, and so now at this point, with no neutral objective up on the bottom half of the map, okay, Herald's not even available yet, it's only 8 minutes. What we should expect is Nocturne to do stuff like this. You know, like basic paths like this, endlessly until his 6 is up. We'll probably just keep seeing this type of a formation where he goes for vision, looks to clear it out, comes back, you know what I mean? And he'll just do this over and over until his 6 is up again. I mean, there might be some cases where he does stuff like this. Ward, you know what I mean? Like some sort of a ward. And then backs off, but realistically, KT should just be content with sitting back and not doing anything. I'm trying to fix the lag. I don't know how to do it. That work? No. Oh, I can restart Chrome. Someone told me this before. Okay, hold on. Hold on, I'm gonna lose you guys. All right, I just lost Twitch chat. I've officially closed every single Chrome. Twitch, IMLS/chat. Hi chat, welcome back. You guys are going over here. All right. Seems like nope, still buffering. Okay. So right now we got some Fog of War, and okay, Pobelter ends up. Whoa, what? 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 Okay. Alright. I'm gonna just watch this at 1.5. I don't know why it's lagging so bad. I don't want to restart PC either. So okay, Pobelter ends up going down to a pretty standard brush count. KTRolster is ahead by almost 1.2, 1.3k gold right now. And the problem for TL is that they scale worse than their opponents. Skarner basically has one job. Skarner's damage and his sustainability inside of a team fight, at least against this KT comp, does not change. Once Skarner has his first item, he's going to be the same champion for the rest of the game. Aatrox is one of the main scaling champions on TeamLiquid, and then obviously Sivir as well. But I think that due to the nature of the Skarner and the LeBlanc both being on the same team, and the fact that they just continue to get worse the longer that the game goes on against the Lissandra, against the Urgot, I think that it just gets so difficult for them. So the fact that KT, who have the majority of the scaling champions on the same team, is already ahead in gold is really, really bad. I really like this rotation by KT as well. They acknowledge that there's no neutral on the bottom half of the map for a little bit. They come up into top lane. They're applying a lot of pressure to the top tier 1 turret. This really opens up the map. Now they're even going to start the Herald. I don't know if I like this that much. It does look like they're going to be able to get it. I mean, Xmithy's not even here, so Score can't lose a smite when the enemy team doesn't have one, alright? He's not St. Vicious. So, Smeb now coming into mid lane, Impact is here as well. And they're keeping actually Deft and Mata in top. They summon the Rift Herald in mid lane. This is very, very fast and chaotic. They are exerting a lot of pressure on TL right now. You can see pings now going down onto the Mountain Drake. Pobelter trying his best to clear out the Rift Herald. And so if you're KT right now, after you get the Rift Herald, what you can end up doing is you can have UCal and friends go into the right-hand side jungle of Xmithy, right? Aatrox is going to go down into bottom lane. He's going to get to this CS. You come over here, you eat the Scuttle Crab, you start the Mountain Drake. Maybe LeBlanc comes over, but if LeBlanc comes over, your bottom lane has priority in top, which means the bottom lane can come into mid. Eventually, there's going to be another mid wave that comes out of the Nexus. They're going to be able to get to the dragon. Your team ends up getting the dragon. Bottom lane goes back into mid, eats the mid lane turret. Then, because you have everyone in close proximity to bottom, Aatrox has to respect it. Skarner doesn't have any jungle camps inside the right-hand side jungle. Aatrox has to back up. You trade top tier 1 for bottom tier 1. That's assuming that TeamLiquid actually doesn't rotate. And, okay, I mean, KT is not rotating as well. So, it looks like, oh, wow, okay. This is actually really good by TeamLiquid. So, they pick up a kill on Smeb. I don't know what KT is doing here. What? The fuck are they just doing? What? So, in this spot, the issue here is that we know that Pobelter can clear out the mid wave after killing the Herald. I don't know why UCal is actually fucking with Xmithy or Pobelter and being in a position to, you know, have anything go wrong. And the fact that, look at Deft and Gragas. Look at Deft and Mata. Okay? See right here? They can easily just move. They can easily just start moving down. And this is fine, because this means that they will get into mid lane, they can walk up to right here, and they can catch this wave. Okay? If they want to. But if LeBlanc and friends try to contest it, now Skarner's wasting time, Aatrox is wasting time, LeBlanc's wasting time, you get the Mountain Drake, you get the Scuttle Crab, and then you go into bottom lane. You can actually, like I said before, that Deft and Mata can just come back into mid lane, eat another wave, and then, you know, make their way back up into top, and then there's a raised top tier 1. Another thing is they could just, depending on what the response is from Pobelter, Xmithy, and Impact, is they can just go into bottom lane and do the trade that I talked about even sooner, and then actually have, not UCal. Well, you could actually have UCal potentially just go back up into top lane, or you can just actually have Smeb recall and go up into top lane and catch the wave and Smeb start pushing. There's no Herald, there's no dragon now on the map, you have a mountain, etc. So after you shove in the lane and you make it go dark, then you recall Deft and Mata, you have Deft and Mata go into mid lane, you have UCal go into bottom lane with the teleport available, it's going to be met by Aatrox trying to shove it back into you. You have Smeb up in top lane, Deft and Mata come into mid, they shove in mid to like this line right here. You have Score clear out his left-hand side jungle, you give Deft the red buff, and then eventually you have the 4 of them move up into top lane, capture and raise the tier 1 top turret of TeamLiquid, back up, reset again, and then you send 3 people into mid, and now Nocturne pass to the right-hand side, and then you, depending on like what your summoners are on Smeb and UCal and whatnot, you do that. So that's all fine. But I mean, you know, TL's macro is just on a planet right here. So I really, really hate what Deft and Mata did by choosing to have like this micro fight or basically stay up in top lane and really accomplish nothing, because you're never going to get that tier 1 turret. It's so much more valuable to come down and get the Mountain Drake. So really poor macro decision by KT, and TeamLiquid actually ends up punishing them for it. They are most likely going to reward themselves with a dragon if KT keeps the same exact lane assignments. I like what Double Lift and Ole are attempting right now. Maybe they're looking for a kill onto Deft. Pobelter's coming up as well, and KT does not know about this, so... Oh, Deft. What? Huh? Not that it's gonna matter that much, but... What? Alright, so now at this point in the game, the Mountain Drake's actually still up. I don't know why Deft and Mata are continuously going top. This is actually a really, really poor macro decision out of KT. You want your bottom lane in closest proximity to the major neutral. You do not need to worry about trading economic turrets. Top turrets are always considered economic. Top tier 1 is an economic turret. This is an economic turret. This is a super economic turret. This is a turret that you normally do not achieve capturing unless you have the Baron buff. All of these turrets, very seldom, unless you have a 1-3-1 composition on blue side, do these turrets ever actually play a part as an objective turret. And what I'm defining as an objective turret is a turret that actually applies pressure to the opposing team and can draw attention away from it, and it can lead to the capture of another objective elsewhere on the map. The problem is that because of these turrets are in such close proximity to the Baron, and this is the major neutral objective after about 25 minutes, and because the red side jungle is the jungle that the red team is always going to be able to turtle in the later stages of the game, these are only often seen as economic turrets because all that it does is bolster your economy. It doesn't actually lead to or produce any sort of objective capturing or temporary pressure on the map. Whereas bottom lane, this is an objective turret, objective turret, objective turret. Everyone would know that the bottom lane inhibitor is considered the best inhibitor in the game because of the proximity to Baron. So getting these turrets are always objective turrets, because if you have the bottom inhibitor, it means that the enemy team has to be pulled furthest away. This is very different if a top laner is trying to hold the wave against Baron right here and then has to run to Baron, or if the top laner is trying to hold the wave right here against super minions and has to run to Baron, versus if he's trying to do it right here and then has to run to Baron, or trying to do it right here and has to run to Baron. So this is the way that you perceive economic and objective turrets. So right now, what KT is doing is they're keeping their bottom lane. Now again, scaling, not really pseudo-scaling, Urgot falls off. So scaling, and then why are you taking economic turrets? Look, why is KT prioritizing taking economic turrets instead of getting a major neutral objective like the Mountain Drake, which is extremely beneficial for their team? Makes absolutely no sense. How is Nocturne scaling? Because there's only 2 members on the enemy team that he has to assassinate, and every single acquired item is going to help him do his job that much easier without X-Smithy or Impact being able to reliably peel against him. So Nocturne can keep reliably going up to... Nocturne will not slow down until 5 items. He'll get his first item, he'll get his second assassin item, he has his jungle item, and then he has his GA. Nocturne goes up to 4 items before he starts getting weaker. I don't know what's going on with Twitch chat right now. Okay. Okay, so KT right now is pushing in mid lane. They almost actually get the mid tier 2 turret. Even though they don't have the Mountain Drake, they are still almost ahead, about 2,000 gold. They end up picking up the blue buff away from TeamLiquid. And TeamLiquid, for a team composition that wants to be on the offensive, they want to be the ones pushing, they want to be the ones using distortions and trying to get poke on the enemy team. They're constantly on the back foot here. Double Lift actually cancels his recall, clears out one more wave, walks back into a brush, and just starts his recall. I don't even know why he walked into the brush. He should just stand still. Oh, I guess maybe Kaisa, the thingy-majig. Alright, so right now, TeamLiquid, I mean, they just completed their first core item Sivir is not just completed, but they have their first core item on Sivir and LeBlanc. But these are not the kind of items that you want to be looking for active fights with. It's still way too far away. LeBlanc still needs more time. I really do hope that Pobelter is getting a Banshee's Veil. You can see that Skarner, I mean, he's going to have his first item, and then he's going to be the same exact champion. So this is really, really sad. KT is actually trading turrets across the map, or they seem willing to. And you can see that Def now down in bottom lane, and TeamLiquid trying to pressure that mid-tier 1 turret. Holy shit. KT going in for a team fight. They're actually getting some really good summoner spells out of TeamLiquid. Smeb end up having to use his Zanyas there, and then Deft ends up actually raising a objective turret, gets the bottom tier 2. And KT is still only up about 2.5k gold, but you have to remember that their team comp is more effective with gold, and that it's very, very pressuring for TeamLiquid. The other thing that should be noted is that TeamLiquid has more of a reliance on summoner spells. The Skarner, you know, flash ult, LeBlanc having flash or ignite available to further enhance her assassination skills, Doublelift having his flash and his heal to survive against Nocturne's assassination attempts, Ole having his flash for the Alistar engage. These are all much more important for them due to the nature of how their team comp likes to fight, because KT actually just has the option of playing front to back. And then just letting Nocturne do his thing, and it becomes increasingly more difficult to reliably get to Deft, which means that he should just actually have free deal. Okay, so right now KT just taking things a little bit slow, which I think is actually correct. Just let your carries hit, you know, their second core item. Lissandra's almost actually about to complete probably the second item. Well, it depends if Lissandra's going straight into Liandry's, or I'm not entirely sure if she's going to go straight into Liandry's. If you can actually let Deft get to QSS, which I'm assuming is his next item, that would be really good. Like, KT is under no obligation to look for... I don't know what the fuck KT is doing. Holy shit. Why are they even poking or fighting for vision? I don't know what that ultimate was out of score. So TeamLiquid's actually going to handily win this fight. And that's going to result in TL actually getting yet another Mountain Drake. So this is actually really scary for KT. I don't know why they would be positioned like that. If we just rewind really quick... Like right here, UCal probably thinks that he's safe against any forms of engage because he has the Banshee's Veil and then he can just go over the wall, but he doesn't have flash available. And even if he ends up hitting R, it's not going to do anything. With no minions in mid lane and you have Smeb clearing out top lane, they don't need to have this kind of a position. There's absolutely no reason with the ward that they already have in mid, they can't all just be stacked on this side of the jungle. This would just be a much better position for them to be in. Smeb gets the slow push started in top lane, and then he can teleport into the fight, and then you can actually take a 5v5 from a defensive position, because it becomes much more difficult for TeamLiquid to actually crack in to this area if the members of KT all have a concave, or if they're all just holding like a phalanx. TeamLiquid's team composition does get a lot worse. Some people in their head are going to say that I'm an idiot because Sivir's AoE inside of such a small nook and cranny would be effective, but the reality is that Sivir's going to be pushed back by Nocturne, and then the front to back from KT. Doublelift can't actually get in close enough proximity, and then also you have to factor in Gragas ultimates and whatnot. So... double Mountain Drake for TL is actually really scary for TeamLiquid because this does mean that they cannot botch a fight even slightly. If like 3 members are still remaining for TeamLiquid, even 2 members, they might actually be able to get Baron depending on what 2 members it is. Definitely I think a Skarner and a Sivir can get Baron now on their own depending on how bloody a fight is. So Doublelift becomes increasingly more clutch, Impact becomes more clutch now, and KT cannot have like 3-for-3s. Or anything like that. LeBlanc actually has the Void Staff, so not the Banshee's Veil. There is a bit of magic resistance on the enemy team, but I think that realistically, Pobelter and Doublelift should just be looking to poke them down to get them into lethal, not relying on a Void Staff. This is bad. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the way that TL macros and sets up vision control, you know, has been very good. It's been very clean. Why were they trying to get mid-tier 1? Though, I mean, I think I know why. I think it's because of the way that they set up vision and execute on objectives and rotate around the map has been really clean. You know, they were trying to build the same lead versus international teams that they build against domestic NA teams, and it's just not, you know. I don't know. I don't know what they're expecting to have happen here. Pobelter goes in for a distortion that's not entirely like. Let's look at the replay one more time. So they're about to get the turret. Pobelter doesn't need to go in on the distortion, but you can see that KTRolster actually has a really good ability to engage, regardless of what Gragas would end up doing here. So this isn't even just about Pobelter. It's more so a problem of why are they fucking putting themselves in a position where all that they're going to get is 100 gold, and then they're going to massively lose out on priority and tempo in the 2 side lanes. Why are they doing that? Why are they committing this heavily for this turret? This is a fundamental macro flaw. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Obviously, that was a really, really good cask and body slam by Mata. But still, TeamLiquid trying to bring the NARAM to Korea, and it's just not working out. Oh, it looks like this is going to be the end of the game with Baron. KT is just so far ahead right now. Oh my god. Ah, it's just really sad. TL pulls the trigger there, and I don't blame them for pulling the trigger there. Hold on. I don't blame them for pulling the trigger there because, you know, in some games I talked about how some teams, I think actually it was TL last time, the unwillingness to just give up an inhibitor and then try to slowly recover and salvage a game. But the problem is that they would give up this inhibitor and this inhibitor against a superior scaling team, and this would be too difficult to come back from. So I like the fact that they tried to do like a do or die, and they tried to take a team fight in front of the bottom tier 1, even though it would be really, really hard to get a win. So that's going to be it for KT versus TL. So I feel like the objectives that TeamLiquid did capture were poor. The reason that I say that is because, for instance, that one Mountain Drake is a byproduct of them making bad decisions to try to go on to KT and it being rewarded by Deft and Mata, who could not be seen by vision, electing to not simply just rotate down into bottom. Had that happened, KT would have netted themselves much larger advantages, which also means that KT played pretty fucking shit. I think that KT actually played absolutely terrible this entire goddamn game. The one redeeming factor that KT had was Mata's cask, and then obviously that they were just out team fighting TeamLiquid across the board, with the exception of some of the blunders that they made, like in that one mid thing where UCal got caught. Obviously the second Mountain Drake that TeamLiquid ended up being rewarded with was a byproduct of KTRolster being too impatient, having poor positioning, and then getting punished for it by TeamLiquid. But TeamLiquid found themselves in situations that required KT to make mistakes in order for they themselves to net advantages or get gains from it. So in that regard, I'm going to have to give both of these teams a poor grade for this. I do not think that this was actually very high gameplay. I'm very unimpressed with KT. TL performed basically as I would expect, and I think that their draft is very ballsy against KT, but I do suppose that if you were going to try to take KT down, this is the type of team composition that you would use in a best of one, because I do not think that you can just fight them in a straight up scaling versus scaling game. Okay, so that is it for that VOD review.